Mr. Speaker, let me join colleagues to thank the Minister for Finance, Dr. Kessel Ato Balforson, for presenting the 2025 budget statement and economic policy to this House. So, Speaker, the statement and policy has been vigorously debated in the public space and commented on in this House. We've all gotten richer by listening to the debate and the commentary. This House benefited from a 3-day workshop where we had experts and resource persons help us deepen our understanding of the budget figures and the policy proposals. So, Speaker, today it is the turn of leadership to wind up the commentary, if not the debate. And I just listened to my colleague, the Honorable Minority Leader, who had just spoken. After listening to him, Mr. Speaker, I miss the days of people like J.H. Mensah, who, when they debated the budget, you walked away highly educated in economic figures, statistics, and policies. I was wondering whether we were listening to a debate of the budget or a debate about governance in this country. Mr. Speaker, in order that listeners are not confused, I want to restate that the debate is of the budget policy that was presented to this House and not governance generally. Mr. Speaker, the budget clearly establishes President John Dramani Mahama as a talk and do president of Ghana. Talk and do president of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, President John Dramani Mahama promised to abolish e-levy. E-levy, Yamutu. E-levy abolished. Talk and do president. President John Dramani Mahama promised to abolish the betting tax. Betting tax, Yamutu. Talk and do president. President John Dramani Mahama promised to abolish emission levies. Mr. Speaker, the budget policy promises to do that. Talk and do president. Mr. Speaker, President John Dramani Mahama promised to abolish the VAT on motor vehicle insurance policy. Mr. Speaker, that is also going. Talk and do president. President John Dramani Mahama promised not to tax small-scale miners. Mr. Speaker, that is also going. Talk and do president. Mr. Speaker, President John Dramani Mahama promised to stabilize the city by establishing the Ghana Gold Board. That is also happening. Talk and do president. President John Dramani Mahama promised to reduce the size of government and cut down on government expenditure. Mr. Speaker, ministries are being reduced from 30 to 23 and ministers reduced from 88 to 60. Talk and do president. Mr. Speaker, we promise to cut down on waste and inefficiency, and we are removing Ghana Cares, You Start, One District, One Factory. They are all going. Talk and do president. Mr. Speaker, the president promised to take away duplication and cost. And so he is realigning institutions and doing away with the development authorities and assigning their responsibilities to the various district assemblies where they actually belong to. Talk and do, President. Mr. Speaker, our national health insurance system was collapsing because of capping. President John Dramani Mahama promised to remove capping so that the full allocation will go to the levy so that our health insurance system will function again and healthcare delivery will work for Ghanaians again. That is happening in this budget. Talk and do, President. Mr. Speaker, he promised to give the full allocation for roads to the roads fund and take away the capping there as well so that our roads will get better. And that is happening in this budget. Talk and do, President. Mr. Speaker, due to capping of GET Fund could not complete all the E-blocks across the country. Schools were struggling for renovation. Education was struggling for funding. This budget will remove the capping and GET Fund will get its full allocation and our schools will work again. Talk and do, President. Mr. Speaker, our energy sector, which is in a major crisis due to lack of investments, is being addressed. John Dramani Mahama promised to fix the energy sector, which is in crisis, and this budget seeks to reduce the GMPC share of net carried and participating interest from 30% to 15% and fully restore transfers to GMPC under the Earmark Funds Act, and this will enable GMPC to invest in the energy sector. Talk and do, President. Mr. Speaker, President John Dramani Mahama promised the big push. The big push for infrastructure. Big push for infrastructure. And it is obvious that that commitment is being fulfilled. I've heard arguments suggesting that only 13 billion Ghana cedis is allocated for big push. Mr. Speaker, listen carefully. Listen carefully. When we uncap road funds and the money goes to the road funds, what will road funds use the money for? To pay for roads. Is that not infrastructure? Is that not what the big push is about? When we uncap GET Fund and the resources go to GET Fund and they complete our E-blocks, is that not infrastructure? Is that not big push? When we uncap NHIL levy and the money goes, some of the money will find their way to health infrastructure. Is that not big push? Doesn't it give a big push? When we uncap GMPC funds and they invest in the energy sector, is that not going to give infrastructure a big push? When we amend the Mineral Investment Fund and the allocations now go for infrastructure, is that not a big push? Mr. Speaker, it is obvious that the creativity, the ingenuity, the intellect, and simple the answer that has gone into crafting this budget.
Honorable Ayariga, what do you mean of the answer?
Answer means common sense. Common sense. Mr. Speaker, wisdom, the creativity, ingenuity, intellect, and wisdom that went into the crafting of this budget, is unparalleled in the history of budgets in this house. Mr. Speaker, it is obvious that my Inkitikiti minority need a crash course in budget analysis to understand this budget.
Honorable Ayariga, what is Inkiti?
My small minority, Inkitikiti, micro minority, they need a crash course in Forcing Budget Analysis 101 so that they can understand how this budget is crafted. You don't just look at 13 billion to big push and say, oh, you are not committed to your infrastructure agenda. Big push is to push infrastructure. And there are several allocations that will deal with the problem of infrastructure. All that put together will make sure that infrastructure objective is achieved. Mr. Speaker, I hear them say that we haven't allocated enough resources for agriculture, for economic transformation. Mr. Speaker, it is obvious that our agriculture for economic transformation is founded on a big investment in agricultural infrastructure. More irrigation, more roads to farming communities. We have made provision for the Akosombo Dam spillage. We have made provision for free SHS, free textbooks, school feeding program, capitation grants, road fund, District Assembly Common Fund, getting 80% of their allocation. Every single priority of this government has been provided for in this budget. That's how you know that we are committed to the promises that we made to the people of this country. Mr. Speaker, let me say for emphasis that since President Nkrumah, no president has taken bold steps to strengthen social protection in one single budget like John Dramani Mahama has done this year. No single president in one budget, from healthcare to education to local governance, every sector, wherever social welfare is implicated, significant allocation has been made. Mr. Speaker, we have a number of social interventions that we can boast of in the budget statement. The no academic fee policy implemented, free tertiary education for persons with disability provided for, free primary health care, Mahama'S provided for, free sanitary pad for school girls provided for. Mr. Speaker, John Dramani Mahama is indeed a talk and do president. He talk, he do. 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 This is a president who talks and does. Mr. Speaker, the budget tells us where we are coming from. Where are we coming from? Let's not run away from where we are coming from. Mr. Speaker, this country has seen a lot of mismanagement, and the budget has captured that. Our city suffered significant decline over the 8 years periods. From an exchange rate of 3.9 Ghana cedis in 2017 to 15 Ghana cedis in 2024. The worst depreciation ever in the history of our country. This is where we are coming from. This country, government was buying treasury bills at 28 to 30% interest. This is where we are coming from. how was the private sector going to be able to get loans in order to invest and create jobs to employ our teeming youth? This is where we are coming from. Our public debt, Mr. Speaker, had ballooned from 122 billion to 726.7 billion Ghana cedis. Per capita GDP growth had worsened from 6% in 2016 to about 2% in 2023. Mr. Speaker, the banking sector has collapsed. The banking sector collapsed. Yes, collapsed. Collapsed. As we speak. As we speak. Mr. Speaker, in 2016, the average capital adequacy ratio of our banks stood at 19.46%. Average capital adequacy ratio of our banks in 2016 stood at 19.46%. Today, 2024, I'm not even talking about today, 2024, the average capital adequacy ratio of the banks worsened to 4%. Worsened to 4%. Worsened to 4%. Get to the Bank of Ghana. Their records. Their records. Mr. Speaker, the banks have collapsed. Mr. Speaker, let's go to non-performing loans of existing banks. In 2016, average non-performing loans of banks stood at 20%. In 2024, average non-performing loans of banks stood at 40%. 40%. Not only the businesses are collapsing and they are unable to pay their loans. That's how bad it is in the banking sector. The DDEP program compelled banks to impair 3.64 billion Ghana cedis. It means that is how much the banks lost to the debt exchange program. 3.64 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, the central bank itself, the lender of last resort, has collapsed. It has become insolvent. Mr. Speaker, they killed the banker of last resort. The bank now needs money from the government of Ghana, a bailout. Mr. Speaker, it is on record that the audit report of the central bank in 2022 showed that the bank had lost over 60 billion Ghana cedis. Today, that loss is in excess of 70 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, this is what has happened over the 8 years. State-owned enterprises have collapsed. Ghana Water Company in 2016 was solvent and it had a total fund of 2.4 billion as profit. Mahama'S Limited made a profit of 66 million. In 2023, Ghana Water Company became insolvent and lost 345 million Ghana cedis. Mahama'S lost 11 million Ghana cedis. In 2016, ECG made a profit of 3.2 billion Ghana cedis. 2016. Electricity Company of Ghana, 3.2 billion Ghana cedis. Ghana Water Company, where a known friend of mine used to work. In 2016, they made a profit of 101 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, in 2023, ECG made a loss of a colossal sum of 5.9 billion Ghana cedis. Ghana Water Company made a loss of 1.9 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, this is what John Dramani Mahama has to reset. And we talk about criminal mismanagement of the economy. Mr. Speaker, let's talk about criminal mismanagement of the economy. Ghana lost 720 million as a result of the SML deal. That is a Strategic Mobilization Limited deal. KPMG audit report showed that we paid 720 million from the 2.45 billion Ghana cedis revenue generated through the e-levy, ESLA levy. Mr. Speaker, this is what happened. Clear criminal mismanagement of the economy. Mr. Speaker, clear criminal mismanagement of the economy. So there must be prosecutions. There must be prosecutions. And so you cannot stand here and complain when prosecutions are taking place, because there was criminal mismanagement of the economy. No prosecutions. Mr. Speaker, talk about criminal mismanagement of the economy. When this country could have used 6 billion Ghana cedis to capitalize 11 affected banks, commercial banks, we didn't do that. We waited, carry out a banking sector cleanup exercise, and in the end, we paid 30 billion Ghana cedis for a problem that we could have solved with 6 billion Ghana cedis. What else? What else fits the discrimination of criminal mismanagement of an economy? And the finance minister in the budget indicated that even after spending the 30 billion Ghana cedis in the cleanup exercise, we still need 10 billion Ghana cedis. And NIB and ADB need 2.2 billion Ghana cedis. We need all that to be able to restore the health of our banking sector. As a result of the criminal mismanagement of our economy, we have lost control over our economy because our own indigenous banks have all collapsed, and it is the foreign banks that are in charge, and we have lost control over our economy. So when you lose control over the financial sector, you lose control over your economy. Mr. Speaker, let's continue the discussion of criminal mismanagement of the economy. In 2018, a certain finance minister went for Eurobonds of $2 billion US dollars. In 2019, $3 billion US dollars. In 2020, $3 billion US dollars. In 2021, $3.3 billion US dollars. Mr. Speaker, as he did this, he was walking home with $9.2 million US dollars as fees for his bank that negotiated the bonds. Let's talk about criminal mismanagement of our economy. ECG paid $12 million, which is 186 million Ghana cedis to Haptel for a contract to upgrade and replace its obsolete systems. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. ECG paid $12 million, equivalent to 186 million Ghana cedis to Haptel for a contract to upgrade and replace its obsolete systems. After the execution of the contract, when ECG used the platform to raise money, an additional 403 million Ghana cedis was paid to them. Meanwhile, ECG has used debt, and the 589 million Ghana cedis that was paid could have been used to pay ECG debts. Mr. Speaker, let's continue the discussion of criminal mismanagement of the economy. In the last 14 years, we have recorded the highest inflation rate under the Akufo-Addo regime, where inflation went up to 50%. We have suffered the most volatile exchange rate. Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana was brought to its knees. But whilst the obituary of the Bank of Ghana was being announced in an audit report revealed in 2023, President Akufo-Addo and Bawumia were busy constructing a Bank of Ghana building at the cost of $261 million United States dollars. A building that they were told to construct at a little over 88 million United States dollars. Mr. Speaker, whilst they went to the IMF for a bailout of 3 billion United States dollars for 3 years, civil society groups were telling us that we were losing 3 billion US dollars annually to corruption in this country. Mr. Speaker, instead of going to the IMF for a bailout, if they had cleaned the Flagstaff House or then Jubilee House and stopped using Jubilee House as a clearing house for corruption, we could have been saving 2 billion US dollars annually, and we could have been lending to the IMF instead. In 3 years, the IMF will owe us 6 billion United States dollars. Mr. Speaker, talk about criminal mismanagement of the economy. A simple Google search informed me today that cocoa beans averagely sold at 9,787 United States dollars per ton. At our 2021 production volume of 1 million tons of cocoa, we would have been raking in today 9.78 billion United States dollars. If we had simply managed the cocoa sector, basic management of trees, cocoa trees, even trees we couldn't manage, today Ghana would have been raking in 9.78 billion United States dollars from the sale of 1 million tons of cocoa, which target we easily met in 2021. Mr. Speaker, lending money to the IMF today. We could have been lending money to the IMF today. But because of the mismanagement of this economy, today we are at the IMF begging for $1 billion a year. Growth came at a cost. And that is the total mismanagement of our environment. It came as a result of the Galamsey activities. And Ghanaians, in spite of the fight, particularly women and youth, and creating a new Ghana for coming generations. During our workshop, our senior Guzitano came and extensively presented to this House the policy detail of the 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, his presentation was so clear that my friends on this side did not ask a single question. Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour economy clearly underpins the budget that was presented to this House. And that will happen. Mr. Speaker, this budget and policy document clearly downsizes government. It realigns institutions to cut down on cost. It creates a framework for ensuring a stable microeconomy that will inure to the benefit of the private sector so that they can grow and create jobs for the youth. Mr. Speaker, the road to a reset Ghana is not a smooth one. It will be painful. But we will do whatever it takes to reset Ghana. If we show the world that we are a serious people, the world will give us a helping hand. And this is what this budget seeks to do. The way Ghanaians voted in 2024, December 7th, is a clear indication that they want a change. This budget is changing things. Mr. Speaker, this parliament is crucial to the implementation of the policy objectives in this budget. It is our responsibility to work with the President to ensure that the policy proposals contained in this budget are implemented. Mr. Speaker,